This is a paid program. Welcome to the Straight to Ale Swim, Bike, Run, Alabama show with hosts Parker Edmonston and Doug Tinker.
Welcome back, everybody, to a new segment here on
Brand new segment.
brand new show.
Brand new show.
I'm Parker Edmonston. This is Doug Tinkham, and welcome to Swim, Bike, Run, Alabama. We're here with our good friend Andrew Walker.
Who's looking quite casual today.
You know, when you
It's
push your vehicle
casual.
down the street, when it breaks down, you have to be casual. It's about 97 degrees. And
People, you need to come to Physio Works. This
Yeah.
poor man doesn't even have a battery in his truck.
Oh, my gosh. Well, he will, if you show up, he'll let you push his truck down the street.
That
as a
sounds like a good workout.
Yeah.
Resistance training, yeah.
There you go.
Yeah,
Is
so-
that what you did?
Well, let's not talk about my training. Let's talk about Andrew Walker. Andrew, a good thing to talk about today is the cross-country training for high school kids. Doug's son Owen is now doing cross-country over in Muscle Shoals, and I think that we've talked before about the overuse injuries for young runners. What are you seeing in that?
Yeah, it's really interesting. A lot of people think about children as being like little adults, and really they're not. There's a lot of differences in how in their body and how they're changing. So when it comes to training children, we can't do exactly what we do with adults. We've got to respect that their bones are growing, that their muscles are changing, and you hear about the idea of growing pains, and if you don't treat children correctly, you actually get a lot more issues of so-called growing pains.
And so when someone goes in, I think this is Owen's first year of cross country.
It is.
And so, you go from 0 to 100.
You do. You do.
And especially
And
when you start.
That's been a little worrisome.
Yeah, when you start a new program and maybe an established program at a school, those kids are already been doing it for years, and so they're used to doing the 20 or 30 miles a
Well,
week.
he's been training for about a month, and they said just run 1 to 2 miles. His first day at camp, they ran 7 miles.
Yeah.
Now, it had some breaks in it, but
Right.
that was still a pretty big day for a 13-year-old who hadn't been running.
Right. And even at 1 to 2 miles, for someone who hasn't necessarily had any training or had any screening, even that can be more than they need. But then also, all of a sudden, jumping up to 7 miles is really a big leap. And I was reading a journal paper the other day, and the cross-country running is actually the highest risk sport for overuse injury, both in high school and college, followed by track running. And
Really, over football.
yeah, actually, football was one of the least, interestingly, for overuse injuries.
Now, are we
traumatic
talking about
injury.
soccer or football?
Football, American football. Cross country and track are the highest risk for overuse injuries, and there's actually 3 times as much injury risk once they go into college over high school. So probably bad technique that they're learning in high school, then combined with increased levels of training and expectations in college, increase the risk a lot.
Well, it seems like in football, if you're on the defensive side of the ball, say, and you got the offensive team on there doing drills, you're sort of sitting and waiting and watching. You may not be exercising the entire time, but in high school cross country, does he get to a break, or is it just go, go, go?
Now, when you were waiting, were you wondering, why is this helmet made of leather?
Yeah. What isn't there supposed to be a face mask on this? Who, my Newt Rockney?
Larry Zonka didn't wear a face mask.
Oh, that. No.
That'll be edited out.
Oh, that wimp.
Much better.
Yeah. So,
Thanks, by the way. It's just more work.
Yeah. I think the cross country is that 0 to 100, that you're there, the team goes and run, and you're just running. There's not a whole lot of coaching that goes on necessarily. It's just running.
Right. And I forget, how old is your son?
He's 13.
And the interesting thing with children is, so as they're growing, they've got these growth plates that are open, and that's what allows their bones to grow. And the bone grows, and the muscles essentially get stretched along with them. So because of that, you're getting a constant change in the relationship between the length of the muscle and the tension of the muscle. And that often leads to a lot of stress across a joint. So that's where actually having a screening examination by a trained professional is actually really good, because, for instance, when I saw Parker, although he's not an adolescent, I was able to screen
Oh no,
him.
he's an adolescent.
I was able to screen him and actually see, are there muscles that are tight? And if there's a muscle that's tight, it actually predisposes that muscle to an overuse injury, such as a tendonitis. Particularly like hamstrings is a great example in kids. We see a lot of hamstring problems.
My son was actually asking what that muscle was in the back of his leg that hurt.
Right.
So I think that someone that's starting in cross country and starting a new sport, it's worthwhile to go and be screened, because the injury you prevent, it's a lot more costly and time consuming to fix it
Right.
on the back end than it is to correct it on the front end.
And that's exactly true. I mean, it can be as simple as a tendonitis, but that still takes a few weeks to get better. But it can actually be as extreme as little stress fractures in kids, or actually what they call avulsion fractures, where the bone pulls slightly away at the tendon. I actually had that as a kid myself. It's called Osgood-Schlatter's disease in the knee.
I remember
and,
that.
it is
That was a
definitely
popular
painful.
disease back in the day.
It's horrible. It's very painful.
So those adults who have a child that's getting into sports this fall, PhysioWorks, HSV.com, check it out with Andrew, and he'll examine and evaluate your young athlete, and will absolutely know ahead of time if that child's prone to injury,
That's
as
right.
they all are.
Yep.
Thanks, Andrew, for being here, and we'll be back after these messages.
Thank you.
On Swim, Bike, Run, Alabama. And welcome back, everybody, to another segment here on Swim, Bike,
Run Alabama.
We have Andrew Walker here from
We do.
PhysioWorks, HSV.com. Andrew, thanks for sticking around and talking to us. You talked to us earlier in the show about overuse injury for young athletes, and we want to talk to you.
You know why he's here? His car still won't start.
It-
A whole week, stuck.
Yeah, yeah. This is almost like a telethon at this point,
Keep those pledges coming in.
But Andrew, we've got some new swimmers amongst us. Doug, thankfully,
A new swimmer?
Huh?
I'm just a bad swimmer.
Well, Doug hit the water today, and I'm telling you, Doug is fast in the water.
I was glad to see that SeaWorld no longer captures their great,
Yeah.
what is that, an orca?
Yeah,
Yeah, but Doug's been working with a good friend of ours, hasn't he?
has.
Allie, no, I haven't never worked with Allie.
Have you not?
I have wanted to.
Ah, well, I think
Yeah.
you need to go and see her.
I absolutely do.
No, if she saw Doug swim, she'd be in a commune
Yeah.
somewhere in Colorado. Yeah.
Ooh, Colorado.
Oh, so I've got an issue with the shoulder a little bit tweaked in swimming, because I've sort of ramped up my swimming. What kind of injuries do you typically see when someone goes from swimming recreational or doing some laps to then trying to push it up a level?
Yeah, one of the things we see is what we would call an impingement type of injury. That's where the ball sort of catches in the socket. I mean, that's a real layman's description of it, but it happens.
We are laymen.
Well, that's
Ball
okay.
in the socket.
There you go. But basically, it happens because as a recreational swimmer, you're not using the joint in the same way, the same speeds,
Yeah,
the same
You're
forces.
tipping a beer with it
Oh,
on your little floaty.
There you go. That's real recreational there. And also, they don't have the flexibility that you would need to have to be for competitive or a higher level of swimming.
So how does one gain this flexibility?
I mean, one of the ways is just to make sure that you have good warm up and cool down routines. We talked about that with the running. You want to have a dynamic warm up, and then you want to make sure you do some static stretches afterwards to make sure that you don't sort of leave tight and you don't go into the next event or practice tight. So that's one of the ways. And then the other thing you need to have is, you've probably heard about rotator cuffs before. The rotator cuff is actually 4 muscles, and they're very, very small muscles. They don't generate a lot of strength, but they actually control the position of the ball in the socket. And then you've got the shoulder blade muscles, the scapular muscles, that do the same around the shoulder there. They control the position of the ball in the socket as well. And if those muscles are not working very well, it increases the chance that the ball in the socket will catch. So actually getting people to condition those muscles through specific exercises in different positions, particularly functional positions for swimming, makes a huge difference.
All right, this is the free information segment. I think I injured mine in New Orleans, and it still kind of hurts, but it's not bad. I mean, is that something that'll heal itself, or do you have to go to someone?
It's interesting, actually. Someone who has a rotator cuff tear, for instance, let's say you had an MRI and it shows a tear, it doesn't necessarily mean that you have to have surgery, for instance. A lot of people think, I've torn my rotator cuff, I have to have surgery. But a lot of research has shown that actually many of them will heal on their own without doing anything. And actually a lot of them will heal with physical therapy and heal a bit faster that way. So seeing a physical therapist would probably be a good thing because you might have some underlying reasons for why you're getting that problem.
It's only in one plane, if that's the right term.
Yeah.
Everywhere else, it's fine.
Right, and that's pretty typical. Unless more significant injuries tend to hurt every which way. Whereas
It doesn't so much hurt as I don't have the strength, or it just seems like it's slow and molasses to get it where I want it to be.
you said there's not pain.
Not really pain. I mean, maybe a
soreness?
little discomfort,
Sure.
but
When you have soreness or pain, it actually inhibits muscles. It means that they don't function as well. They can't generate force. So, it's kind of one of these vicious cycles that you get into. You have a bit of pain, muscle shuts down. Because muscle shuts down, you hurt yourself more, you have more pain, and it keeps going around that cycle. And that's where it's worth seeing a professional about it to try and actually break that cycle.
Well, I know, and I know that Doug appreciates the free advice and that you
it was
gave
for
him.
our listeners.
Well, and it was much more pleasant listening to that advice than when we had the proctologist on several weeks ago, and Doug wanted some. Well, never mind. We won't even get into that ugly scene.
Why do you keep doing this to me?
So today, which is typical for me, my warm up for the swim is I jump in the water, I clear my goggles, and I start my laps.
You mean your mask?
Yeah, my goggles.
Those are big.
I know. So I clear my goggles. What should I be doing prior to actually swimming laps?
Right. You actually want to be doing something on dry land before you get in. If you watch the Olympic swimmers when they're on the side, they're doing things where they're smacking themselves on the back. Things like that. That's a more dynamic stretching warm-up. So things like that are good, and you want to do that within 15 minutes of your swim. You don't want to do it 30 minutes before, because by the time you get to your swim, it's not going to really have much effect.
If swimmers like us do that on the side of the pool, it's kind of the equivalent of us wearing arrow helmets on the bike.
Well, we have to do it in the dressing room where no one will see us. Now,
Do it behind the truck.
yeah. And even, we go to some races, and a lot of races will not allow you in the water to warm up. And
No.
so you're sitting there amongst a couple hundred people, and I'm self-conscious about, warming up, and we shouldn't be because.
But
it's
now
going-
you bring your trainer into the transition. I've seen that.
I do?
Yeah, haven't you seen people do that?
Oh, yeah.
That's
The
awful.
bike trainer?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, oh, yeah.
Yeah, I don't mean your trainer.
Yeah.
Andrew
I was
Walker.
thinking Andrew Walker. I pull Andrew out of the bag, and he says, yeah.
Why haven't you
Why
been
do you
doing
do-
your exercises?
It's stretch, fat man, stretch. So, yeah. So I'm going up to Muncie this weekend to race 70.3,
I'll be there in spirit.
and we're trying to get shame him in to doing the Renaissance Man this
Can't do
weekend.
it. I can't do it.
Why? Your friend Dean over there,
Bradley Dean.
with the Renaissance
He is
Man.
begging for volunteers, so
And-
I'm going to volunteer.
Well, we'll send a volunteer over. You're signed up.
I am.
You need
I
to go
sure am.
race that event.
Do you want me to die?
No.
Yeah, well, then there you have it.
You look good today in the pool. I'm telling you, man. You're ready.
There's two other events in the.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's fair. You've got to make some wise decisions at times. Sometimes you've got to say,
I've
I
got
can't
a whole
do it.
life of making poor decisions. This is number one of wise.
There you go. We're
now.
turning over a new leaf,
Starting
right?
now.
Okay.
I've got a bike shop in Colorado that says they can fix my insole, and I won't have any foot problems during the bike.
That's the biggest pair of blisters anyone's ever seen.
All right. Hey, Andrew, always great having you on the show. PhysioWorksHSV.com here in Huntsville. You do great work. It's worth the time to check out his website. It's got a ton of information there. And if you're looking to get ready for doing any kind of sport, go see Andrew.
Thank you.
We'll be back after these messages on Swim, Bike, Run, Alabama. Welcome back, everybody, to another segment here on Swim, Bike, Run, Alabama. I'm Parker Edmiston, and I'm here with my good friend and co-host, Doug Tinkham.
Hey, folks, what's happening?
Ironman Muscle Shows Extraordinaire.
Oh, that's
Getting
you.
back into it, my friend. Doug Tinkham swam, biked, and ran today.
Not very fast,
Yeah,
though.
it don't matter. You did it, and that's
I
all that
did do
matters,
it.
my friend.
I did it.
You
That's
look
right.
good in the water.
Yeah.
You've been told that before. Yeah. So, hey, Doug, we've got Steve DeJesus with us today. Steve is a regional sales manager for D1 Huntsville. Tell us about D1.
D1 is a sports training facility that also trains adults. So we range anywhere from 7-year-old elementary school age group all the way up to professional athletes. And we also have adult boot camps, low impact and strength classes. So a wide range of training that actually is provided at D1, working more for sports performance for the younger scholastic age group. For the adults, it can just range. It just depends on what their goals are, whether that's weight loss, is it strength, is it for kind of what we're going to talk about today, trail runs or obstacle course races. So a lot of different factors into what we can provide for the community.
Well, that is the question that our listeners want to know is what kind of team are you bringing to the Urban Assault Challenge?
Well, once I found out about it, I actually have already gotten about 5 people, including some of our members and some of our coaches that are very interested, and we're going to go ahead and get that signed up and kind of show the community what we can do as D1 athletes. We even say as our adults, everybody is an athlete in some capacity. So we're definitely going to show off some of the skills we have.
How about some smack talk? I mean, come on.
I try to leave that to the other facilities and
I hear
locations.
Does D1 stand for anything?
Division One is
Okay.
the whole concept. It was based around Will Bartholomew, who played at the University of Tennessee and started in Nashville. That's still our corporate location. And he actually tore his knee up in the Denver Broncos camp and came back home and wasn't sure what he was going to do for his career or his life after it was over. Started training athletes, starting with his brother and a small group of friends, and it's really kind of taken off from there. 13 years later, we now have 26 locations throughout the country, with an additional 20 or so to go up over the next 2 to 3 years. So it was always driven by the athlete for the athletes, and has expanded within recent times to the adult market and training them.
So one thing that y'all do is you go out into the schools and you get a volleyball team or a baseball team from Grissom or Huntsville High, and you work with their coaching staff and the training those individual athletes.
Yeah, absolutely. So we do individual one-on-one personal training. We also have small group training, which can be athletes from James Clemens, from Bob Jones, from Sparkman. They're all going to be in the same group working on their speed, their agility, their explosiveness. But we also do team training. We've trained lacrosse teams. We actually have a couple teams from Grissom High School. Right now, Sparkman, Hazel Green. We do go off-site also, depending on what their weight room looks like, and nowadays these high schools weight rooms are pretty nice.
Incredible, isn't it?
Yeah. So
not like we grew up. Well, not
No.
you. You're young, but
Yeah.
me and my friend here, we had milk jugs full of gravel.
We had to carry
On a
the coach up the
broomstick.
hill. That was it. Yeah.
Pick a leaf off
Yeah,
the.
pick a leaf and come back down. I guess that's becoming, though, more and more popular for these high school teams is to go outside the school and find someone with the expertise like D1 to come in and have some regimen for their athletes to train.
yeah, absolutely. What we have found going out in the community and building these relationships are the coaches are really tied up with game plans, with strategy, or even the skill-specific teaching of the actual sport. Where they may lack knowledge or need help is the strength conditioning side of things, and either they don't have the time, they may not have the equipment, depending on some of the schools, the smaller schools, and that's where we can come in with my facility coordinator, Darius Price, who's certified CSCSA. We have Olympic certifications, and he's trained on the collegiate level. So from that side, we can build a program around each individual sports. Because what we found is some volleyball teams are doing football workouts because
Right.
they don't have access to certain things, and they only have a small network to work from, where as a company, and we continue to grow, we can pull our workouts from just knowledge base and
Well, how are folks going to get a hold of you if they want to get a hold of D1 Huntsville? Steve, how do they get a hold of you?
the best way to kind of see the content that we have is visit our website, d1huntsville.com. We do offer free trials to
Okay.
everybody.
All right, thank you for being here. We'll be back after these messages. Welcome back, everybody, to another segment here on Swim Bike Run Alabama. I'm Parker Edmiston. I'm here with my good friend Doug Tinkham, and we're once again in the studios,
Straight to Ale.
Straight to L, right here on Lehman Ferry Road. If you haven't been down to Straight to L on Lehman Ferry Road, you deserve to come down here because who better to treat than yourself?
You got to pamper yourself
gotta
with the best
pamper.
beer made.
You got to pamper, and absolutely the best beer known to man right here at Straight to L Brewery. Joining us again on this segment is Steve DeJesus, and he's from D1 Huntsville. He was here last week, and we want to talk to you a little bit about someone who is maybe a triathlete or a runner or a swimmer or biker. We've got this race November 7th. It's the Rocket City Urban Challenge, where it's a CrossFit, it's an obstacle course. How can you get those folks ready for an event maybe they're not used to?
Yeah, absolutely. We actually have had quite a few members who go to the Tough Mudders and obstacle courses, and they seek us out. We've actually had a member that's ran Ironman and used part of our programs as a supplement. So they may do their cycling somewhere else. They may do their running somewhere else. They come to us for our boot camp classes. More than likely is going to be the best fit for them. We do have other options, but with the boot camp class, it's going to be a lot of metabolic conditioning, strength training, core training. With that, we're also going to work on flexibility. So that's going to help with your obstacles, depending on if you're going over walls, going under different things. You're going to need that flexibility along with the strength side of things, and then lung capacity, which is what we're going to help with from, interval training. Or
that does not mean putting a pillow over someone's head, as you've been known to do.
Well, I don't know if the statute of limitations is up, Doug, so let's be quiet about that.
6.5 years.
Steve, we've got folks that want to go into D1, and is there a way that they get a free evaluation to determine how you're going to get them individually ready?
Yes, we do offer free one-on-one assessments and also free trials in our class options if that's the best fit for them. And we can always assess when they come to our building. If they visit our website, d1huntsville.com, there's an option to fill out a form that will likely come back to me since I do regional sales, and I'll reach out to them and we'll schedule a day and time to have them come down, do an assessment in the class or one-on-one. And from there, we sit down and have a consultation. And that's the biggest key, is finding out what their goals are, and is it the class that's going to be the best fit? Is it the boot camps? Is it the strength? And that's where we can assess, how many times a week can they come? Do they have medical conditions or limitations? And from there, our professionals and our staff can diagnose that and give them the best kind of plan set forward for them.
So it's good that it's not one size fits all, that you're able to evaluate the individual as they come in. Like you said, I guess there's different directions by the athlete. Some, I guess, would feel comfortable being in a classroom with other folks. Some, like me, weakling, 200-pound weakling.
I've found that my one size will not fit.
No, on one size, no. It usually shrinks over the winter time when we try to get into one
time to
size.
go buy some new pants.
Yeah. And so, that's great that you all have this assessment. Now, someone who's going from triathlon to strength training, what do you recommend? Is it going to be a progression, some small steps to get them ready, and what would you suggest for them?
Yeah, with that, a lot of times we do have a strength class that runs Monday through Friday, and then we also have a boot camp class. So what we may structure, we try to stay on the same page with the classes so they don't overlap. So if Monday's going to be an upper body based workout for strength, it's also going to be like that for boot camp. So we can have our athletes or adults maybe do boot camp Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and we'll program in the strength Tuesday and Thursday. Therefore, they're getting a balanced workout that's going to hit both factors and kind of bridge them over either from a strength aspect to a more of a conditioning. One of my good friends is actually a big runner, and his concern was, I can't keep working out my legs. It builds up the lactic acid. I can't be that strong from that standpoint. So we built a program basically for him. So we structured in where he'll do the boot camps a couple days a week, and he'll do strength the others, which is finding the perfect balance for him. So that comes along with the assessment, the communication back and forth between the coaches and each individual in our facility.
And you guys are down there on Bailey Cove, in Jones Valley, and so it's easy for people to get to. What's the 911 address down there, or how do you get to your facility?
So we're actually located in South Huntsville, just past Target Shopping Center in Jones Valley. It's 7242 Bailey Cove Road, and all this content is going to be on our website, along with videos and schedules for our classes at www.d1huntsville.com.
Cool. Steve, we appreciate you coming in. Thanks again, and check them out, d1huntsville.com. A great organization, great gym, and we look forward to seeing you in the future.
Thanks a lot.
Welcome back, everybody, to another segment here on Swim Bike Run Alabama. We're here Straight to Ale Brewery on Lehman Ferry
Our
Road.
favorite place.
And we're here with Matt Broadhurst.
Our
Matt,
favorite guy,
maybe the favorite person at Straight to Ale, and
an ambassador of goodwill and good cheer.
He is.
Some days.
No.
Some days.
Yeah. There's some days that you just want to swing a cat, and just.
I think Matt had a tough day when we got here. He had a lot going on.
There's a lot going on right now. We're doing the official groundbreaking tomorrow over
Yeah,
Stone.
right.
And you saw that beer that was going out in the
Yeah.
truck. It was just one of those days, just getting it done.
I was
But-
afraid when I saw that you guys were opening tomorrow that when we got here you would say, no, you need to find somewhere else. So we
wouldn't do that
appreciate
to you
you
guys.
helping us out.
We love having you guys.
Yeah.
So.
Now that brings a question. I know you guys have the groundbreaking tomorrow over at Stone Middle School for the huge new facility that
Yeah.
you're going to have.
Yeah.
And Poppy told us in another segment about the date for the opening has been moved up now to maybe November.
I think Poppy was trying to put a positive spin on it, but yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
All
we'll
right.
say that sounds like a good number.
Well, I mean, speaking
Good
of
day.
positive spins, I heard Poppy's famous caramel coconut beer is going to be mass produced.
Yeah. Well, the good thing
We,
about
we all have dreams, don't we?
I have many.
the great thing that I guess I found through being here at Straight to Ale is that y'all are some creative folks.
Oh, yeah.
You know,
Yeah, absolutely.
These folks that brew beer, they're always experimenting and trying to come up with a great beer. And
Yeah, we are, and what's great here is everybody can get in on it. Poppy's.
We need a podcast.
He works in our tap room. But
podcast stout.
he has some great ideas. He's made some really good beers. And we invite all the employees to come in and work on the small system on their days off. No, we're not putting them on the clock for that, but that's how some of our beers have come around. Is small batch, something that somebody was homebrewing that works here, and we've taken a bigger scale.
Fifth anniversary was a
It's
small
exactly
batch.
how
wasn't it?
Fifth started. Yeah, it started off with Drew, our head brewer, had been homebrewing it for
Drawer the brewer.
Yeah, had doing it for like 5 years at home, and then finally did it here. So that's how that came about. Yeah.
well, I've never been to Silicon Valley, but I know that when you get a bunch of smart people
That's a hell of a
together,
lead-in.
when you get a lot of smart people together, and the creativity just explodes. And I guess that's how you learn your craft, and this is craft beer, and I guess that's how they learn to make beer, is you experiment.
Yeah, and and it's great here in Huntsville. We have such a great homebrew community too. That everybody's friendly with each other. Everybody kind of riffs off each other's ideas, and somebody will say they're going to do this, and well, let's do that and add this to it, or try this with it, and nobody's ever gotten their feelings hurt for making a similar style. I mean, it's beer. There's only so much you can really make out of it, so your options are slightly limited, in the long run. But everybody here in town, we get a lot of locals that homebrew and come in and bring us stuff to taste, and we're like, man, let's
Oh,
figure
that's
out,
cool.
how they made that, or
Yeah.
let's see if they'll share that recipe with us.
For sure.
When I first heard that y'all would be over there at Stone Middle School and that Yellowhammer was going to be there as well, I was thinking, man, that's sort of counterproductive. You got a brewery, and then your competition and parts got a brewery. But then
That's
I
not
thought,
competition.
It's not
No.
competition because you're developing a group of people who like craft beer, and you're increasing that number of people.
Yeah, and it's nice. If you go to like Colorado or Asheville, I mean, breweries are literally
That's the
stone's
second
throw.
time Colorado's come up today.
They're stone's throw from each
Decide.
other. You could literally, if you go to New Belgium, you could literally probably not literally, you could almost throw a rock to two other breweries. They're that close. You go to you go up to Asheville, it's a half a block down the road is the next brewery.
Yeah.
And all those guys are doing well, and it's something it's still new to Alabama to have that many breweries, as many as we do. But Yellowhammer does different styles than us. We do different beer. So ideally, people will go to them to drink their beer, and they'll come try our stuff. Vice versa, they'll come to us because they like our beer, and they're like, well, Yellowhammer's just down the street. Let's go try them as well. So hopefully, it's good for everybody.
And the city understands what a draw craft beer is. And I was telling these folks earlier, Doug, that I was at the chamber last week, and you had 30 or 40 business owners talking about the groundbreaking at Stone Middle School, about Straight to Ale, and about this new entertainment district where you're going to have a stage out there where you can have entertainment, you can have 2 microbrews, you can have the Johnny Rocket pinball place.
Yeah. We're really fortunate that we have when we started the tap room version of Straight to Ale, we were lucky. We have Jeff Sanders, who owns Ronnie Ray Guns arcade, who has
Right.
the pinball machines here. He's bringing, I think, 15 to 30. God knows, he has his basement's full of them. To the new brewery, so he's going to have his own arcade. We've got a donut place going in, which
You talked about
it was
that,
Doe's
yeah.
Nuts.
Yeah.
And that's somebody else that we knew that is a fantastic baker and wanted to do something cool. And so, I mean, it's not really part of the brewery, but it's inside the brewery. So we've got these great options because we got 50,000 square feet to play with.
So is it gonna? I guess the donut shop's gonna open early.
yeah. So ideally, we get. You would be surprised at what time people start knocking on our door.
Oh, I'm a drinker.
Well,
But we want it. We know what we're doing over there. We've got a big space. We want it to be part of the community. We're going to open it early, offer donuts, coffee, and then we got free Wi-Fi. We got lots of space for meetings. People want to come in.
How about rooms for podcasting?
We'll have some rooms for that. Absolutely.
Excellent.
listen, we appreciate you, Matt, letting us come here and do our show every week.
Anytime.
And we'll be back next week here on Swim Bike Run Alabama.
Awesome.